Hi everyone, I'm Nania Yasmin. I am a retail tech and fashion brand freelancer and creator based out of New York City. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I want to get into a personal topic today about how I'm starting over at 30 and why I am all in with no plan B. I feel like a lot of you all will be able to resonate with this, which is why I wanted to share it. Again, I'm just at a point in my life where it's not so much about setting goals, but really rebuilding and transforming myself from the inside out. So if you are anyone in a stage of uncertainty or considering a fresh start, I think this is the video for you. We have a lot to get into, so I'm gonna jump right in with a quick backstory. Growing up, I was introverted. I was a quiet, reserved kid, and I think, I don't know, as a result of that, I just held myself back from my full potential. I come from a more traditional family where like education was always considered the way out. So I was fully convinced from a young age that I'd follow in my dad's footsteps and become a doctor. This was a safe and secure career. I'd make good money. I'd be able to help people. And I thought that would be enough for me. It wasn't really until my junior year of undergrad where I was able to really admit that no, in fact, this wasn't a good fit. The signs had always been there, but at this point I was like dropping classes and doing whatever I could to just finish on time. So I knew once I was done, I was done. For years following that, pretty much the majority of like my early 20s, I struggled with clarity and trying to figure it out. I went from one idea to the next. You can even see on this channel, at one point I was a flight attendant, then I was teaching English abroad. I mean, I tried a lot of different things and I never really fully committed to anything for a number of different reasons, and we can save that topic for another day. But ultimately, I realized that this kind of led me to kind of like self-isolation, because I felt like I hadn't reached a point where I could come back and show my friends and family like what I've done and what I've been able to accomplish. And so as a result of that, years and years kind of passed by without significant progress. I felt like I was continuing to start over and over and over again. And the turning point for me was when I got laid off on my 29th birthday. I've shared this a couple times on my channel as well, so won't go into detail with that. But it was at this moment where I really made the decision to live life on my own terms. And it was really just rooted in like curiosity. Like, what would things look like if I just really showed up as like my most authentic self and I really committed to the things that I really want to do. So I feel like my mindset had shifted from comparison and fear to just genuine curiosity. So yeah, I decided 30 would be the year of transformation for me. I really wanted to break out of my shell and my comfort zone and just show up in the world as my most confident and authentic self. The person that I feel like I've always been, but I don't think I've done a good enough job of showing that to the world consistently. So that's what we're working with now. I've been 30 for 4 months and I have been able to successfully transition my career into creative entrepreneurship, which I'm really proud of and excited about this journey. Now that I'm working with retail tech companies and fashion brand startups, it's been really fun and I've learned so much, not only about the industry, but about myself in this process. But there's still a lot of room for growth. So naturally, it's the top of a new year and I feel like this is always just a great time to reassess and set those intentions and embrace a fresh start. So I've already kind of gotten clear on my goals. I've had my honest self-reflection. I actually have a video, my last video that I uploaded goes more in detail about that if you're interested in just prepping for the new year and kind of setting those intentions and how you're gonna go about transforming yourself without feeling overwhelmed or burned out. But through this self-reflection, I came to the realization of two things. Number one is, again, I'm all in. There's no plan B at this point. I spent my entire 20s with one foot in, one foot out, taking calculated risks without ever fully committing. And so now, for the first time, I'm really stepping out of that like reactive kind of phase where I feel like I have to make decisions because of fear of what other people will think or comparing myself and feeling like I have something to prove. I no longer need that instant gratification or that constant reassurance. At this point, you know, I've been an adult long enough, I've made it this far, so I really just feel like anything is possible. But I'm old enough and mature enough to realize at this point that it does require you to consistently show up and do the work. And I think that's what young 20-year-old me didn't want to understand. I've always loved a good rags to riches story, but it's here in the middle where the magic happens. You can't skip steps and you have to pay your dues. So I understand that, and that's what I'm fully committing to at this point in my life. And the second realization that I've had over this last year and a half since I got laid off is that I truly have to just find balance in becoming. I understand that work is required and we do have to consistently show up, but as humans, I feel like we do deserve rest, and it's understood why we would want reward or some kind of payout for the work that we're putting in. So I feel like, yeah, just finding balance between doing the things that I have to do and the things that I want to do while I'm becoming the person I want to be and building a life and a career that I love. I just think as a chronic overthinker and perfectionist that turned into a procrastinator, I was in this start and stop cycle. I try to do things off of motivation and then I get burned out and stop. Like that is the cycle that I've decided to break, and I just understand that I have to approach things differently. So for me, it's more of a slow and steady, like I know I'm in it for the long haul, and this is my life that we're talking about, that I'm trying to transform, my career, qualities about myself. So, you know, God willing, I'll be here another several decades. So when I think of it from that point of view, it's like there really is no rush. Like what's 1 year to another 50 or 60? You see what I mean? So like just do the work now, because you really are rewarding your future self. So that's kind of how I look at it. Do what you can, even if it's a little bit, even if it may seem insignificant, because over time you will start to see that change and feel those transformations. Which is why this year, for the first time, I'm not just setting goals. I do have goals in place, but I'm also really focused on skill development. I feel like there are just certain skills that if you possess them, you will be able to unlock so many opportunities for yourself. So the 3 goals that I think will start to transform my life, there's a ton of skills that I can work on throughout my life, but I'm really focusing on consistency, communication, and confidence. These are the 3 skills that I'm really being intentional about in 2025. So in terms of consistency, this just looks like those small daily habits. Again, I have a video on this, I'll link it above, of just like realistic habits that I can do on a day-to-day that I think will over time allow me to take on more and really make those transformations that I'm looking for. In terms of confidence, this really looks like, again, just self-expression and showing up as my most authentic self. And when I say my most authentic self, that's something I'm still discovering. So for me, it is about having more fun, being a little bit more spontaneous, and trying new things just because, meet new people, having the confidence to do that. And then communication is a big one for me. This really kind of relates to my career. I feel like, again, I shared before, I'm an introverted person, quiet, reserved, and as someone who is dipping their toes into entrepreneurship, I have to learn how to like advocate and effectively communicate. And so that's a big one for me. Like I can't be sitting in meetings and not speaking up for myself, or being able to communicate my thoughts and advocate for myself and my skills, my experience, as well as just sharpening like my social skills when I go out, meeting people and building relationships, networking, just wanting to be more natural, you know, like have fun with it as well, and just be a vibe all around, I guess, not being so scared or like literally shutting down. As I work on consistency, communication, and confidence, I'm hoping that these will eventually lead me into being a better leader. I would love to be able to provide opportunities for other people one day. But even I think about just my family, like my husband and I want to have children one day soon, and in that sense, I'll be a leader as well. So I want to be a good leader. I want to be a good mom, a good parent, be able to have patience and be able to teach them, you know? So that's important to me. And then also time management, which I think is really closely related to consistency. But those are the skills that I'm focusing on in 2025, because I just feel like my personal philosophy is, if you know who you are and you can show up as this version of yourself confidently and consistently, and you can communicate effectively while still being true to yourself, you really can't lose. Like, you really cannot lose, because this will lead to stronger relationships, which will then lead to new opportunities. And I feel like that's what will then lead to a fulfilling life, because you'll be able to have your pick in what opportunities that you decide to move forward with. And that's how you align who you are with what you do, and how you live a life of just intention and thoughtfulness and fulfillment, freedom, all the things. Let me know what y'all think about that, but that's what I believe. I feel like if you're a good communicator, I feel like all three. I can't say which one is more important. Like, I feel like confidence is a non-negotiable. You gotta have confidence. I feel like consistency is a non-negotiable. You have to be consistent. And I feel like communication is a non-negotiable. And even communication, it doesn't have to be verbal, but just how you show up in places, what you're wearing, the tone of voice, your gestures. There's so much that go into how people perceive you. So I feel like being intentional about that and mastering yourself. If you know who you are, what can anybody else tell you about yourself? You see what I'm saying? But that's really it. I'm losing sunlight and it's making me lose all my train of thought. So this is getting a little out of hand. But yeah, if you're feeling stuck, unsure of where to start, you're a little overwhelmed, I am here to remind you that it's never too late to start. Whether you're starting over at 30, 40, 50, like truly, if you have another day, if you have breath in your body, that's all you need. And if you're fully committed to plan A, then why would you need a plan B? Because what's for you will always be for you. And I mentioned this in my last video. It's okay if you can't see the steps you need to take for the entire journey. All you need to worry about is making the next best step, because it's that step that will then lead you to the next step, that will then lead you to the next step, and before you know it, your journey will unfold. So if you're on a similar journey, you're thinking of starting over, let me know down in the comments. As always, I want to hear from y'all. So let me know what this journey may look like for you. Let's support one another and get to it. That's it for now though. I will see you all in my next video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.